When we get stuck trying to learn a new skill and we hit that plateau, it's often because we're looking at the wrong outcome. So today we're going to talk about how to focus on the crux of the skill you're learning, and we'll use 3 examples: juggling, handstands, and shooting a basketball. We can kind of boil down practice to setting an intention, making an attempt, getting feedback of some sort on that attempt, and then trying to take that information and do better on the next attempt. But what if we're setting the wrong intention or getting feedback on the wrong aspect of the skill? So for example, in juggling, it might look like it's about making catches, because when you see someone juggling proficiently, you see lots of catches. But actually, the crux of the skill is consistently making good throws, and the catches come much more easily. So when you see someone proficiently making catches, they've actually trained the ability to make consistent throws, and they know where those throws are going to be. In a handstand, it can look like the skill is about getting ourselves into this certain shape, because we often see really good handstanders taking on shapes like this. So we do lots of drills and exercises to form this shape and try to kind of memorize it. But actually, the crux of the skill is keeping our center of mass over our points of support. Or in simpler words, keeping our weight over our hands. And to balance, we need to constantly be rebalancing around that point. So we can do that in any number of shapes. And actually, it can be easier in shapes where the center of mass is lower, which might look like this, instead of in that straight line, right? The straight line looks really nice, and there are a lot of benefits of it, but it's not the crux of holding a freestanding handstand. When shooting a basketball, it might look like the crux is getting your elbow in an exact position and making all the right shapes, when really an overlooked piece of the skill is pretty straightforward. Simply keeping your eye on the target, so looking at the rim, seeing a consistent focal point, and keeping that in your sights for as long as possible. So let's think about the skill that you're working on. What is the crux of this skill? What's that one thing that if you can improve it, you'll improve your performance in the skill? Are you sure? If you're pretty confident about the crux of the skill you're working on, drop a comment below with what it is, and I'd love to hear what types of skills you're learning. Once you do know what that crux is, the follow-up question is, how can you get feedback on that crux? So for instance, going back to the juggling example, it's really easy to tell whether you've made a catch or not. The ball drops and we know we failed to make a catch. But it's a little bit trickier to prioritize getting feedback on the throws. So as you're thinking about the skill you're working on, it's not just how can I get feedback on how well it's going, how can I get feedback on how well I'm actually dealing with the crux of the skill. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.